Hello. We give everybody a few minutes to hop on and then kind of jump into things here. Guys, we've got a couple minutes and then we're going to go over lead nurture and then I'm going to go over and open it up to any questions that you guys have and then on any specific conversations and then we'll kind of go into I want to go into photos today. You've got a lot of questions on just like good photos for organic, paid, all that kind of stuff. So just a couple seconds. I'll wait one more minute and I'll get started. So put this in the chat for you guys as well, and then we're gonna get going. And then if you guys end up having some questions after I go over this, feel free to chime in. And I put that in the chat so you guys can open that. Make sure you open it as it'll live there. And then you can have that. So today I really want to go, especially going into the new year, and excuse me, with leads and everything like that. And just in general, like lead nurture. The biggest part of getting people in the gym is going on down here. Text. Biggest part of lead nurture and getting people into the gym is getting back to them. First and foremost, quickly. What does getting back to them quickly mean? If you can respond within 10 to 15 minutes is like the gold standard. I would even say 5 minutes is like the gold standard, right? You want people to say, wow, like that was fast. That's like means that you're on top of it. We see these are kind of the biggest pitfalls that gym owners come acceptable to. And I would even start out by saying, right, like, let's go back to conversion rate. So if we get, let's say just 50 leads, we're going to sign up 5 to 10 of those people. We know essentially that means 40 to 45 people are going to waste our time. You have to just remember that and be okay with, hey, I am going to deal with some knuckleheads. That's okay. I am going to focus on my wins, not my losses, right? Like, we talk on the back end a lot of like baseball analogy. Like, hey, you end up in the Hall of Fame in baseball if you hit 1 out of 3 times. Like, 1 out of 3. And granted, we're saying 1 out of 10, but at the same time, or even 1 out of 5, you're still a really good player if you hit 1 out of 5 and get them in and sign them up, right? So first thing I want to talk about is if people are just always asking, like, well, tell me about your program, right? Very simply, like, hey, Amanda, our 12-week program is fitness, nutrition, and accountability, and we customize it to you. The next step is to meet us in person or hop on a call, whatever you do first. And then here's the key thing, this down here. Always asking like or statements. We find that or statements do very, very well. Does this time or that time work for you? That way you give them the option. It's not open-ended. When you ask an open-ended question, like what day this week works for you, then they have to go check their calendar. They have to go check their schedule. They got to check with 3 other people, all that kind of stuff. And then you never know when they're going to get back to you. So giving them 2 options because neither work, then it's like, no, but I can do X, right? So I think that is just a good one, just a templated answer to have. That way it's almost just, delete some part of it with your offer. And that's just gonna be copy and pasted. And you can even make a template in your, so like there's a place within your conversations here that you can make all of these templated. So if you go down here, you have, it's been a minute since I've been in here. Okay, so if you go to marketing, I think it's under marketing. Give me a second. Go to templates, new. No, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Man, I swear this was in templates. Settings. Let me get back to you on where to put templates. They used to be down here.
Blake, are you talking about snippets?
I can definitely check. Must have changed the wording if it is. Yeah, add text. Good job. So you can just add that there. So like for this gym, say I have a pricing one, right? And I go to this pricing that we're going to talk about next, because we all know pricing is the biggest question. So you could go in here, hey, first name, we have a lot of options. I'm confident we can help. I go help to reach your goals. I'll change that. Really have a better idea when we first need to know your goals and previous experience. It's redundant. And then I would just change these something to you're doing calls, right? That way you could save that. And then if you're in a conversation with somebody and they ask price, you could just go down here, insert. Well, it's not, for some reason, didn't save, but you would just type that pricing one and click that, and it would be automatically and just go right out to them. Okay. So I like having those because it's just, you don't have to go back and copy and paste that. And I'm going to change this back over to that. Okay. Here's the thing though. They might just say like, I need to know what the price is. I can't come in if I don't know the price. That's when you just say like, I totally get it. Our prices start at X, right? Give them the lowest price that you offer. So, and then, hey, we're different than most gyms as we customize a plan to your goals and level of accountability. Can you come in? Because then they have the price, and then they're simply going to tell you, no, that doesn't work, or yes, right? That way you're getting an answer either way. Like they're going to know, like, don't ask like, hey, does that work for your budget? And they're like, you're just fighting a losing battle at that point, just ask them, like, because that's going to be the follow-up question, even if they say, yeah, that works for my budget. Then you're going to say, okay, can you come in X time, right? Just get to the point, because the more back and forth you have, the better chance that you have losing them. So I always deflect first, and then if they ask again, then give it away. So let's say somebody has responded, but you haven't heard back yet. Okay. So here's a couple options. I always like to just like give a little empathy. Hey, I get it. I know life can be busy. Wanted to make sure you got my message. We'd love to help you reach your goals. What time would work for you tomorrow to talk? Right. And so that way you're kind of just bumping it up in the chain, and it'll come off pretty authentic and as a real person, because they like know that you didn't respond, right? They're probably going to know that's not automated. Then I probably should make sure nobody else is trying to get in here while I'm in here, not paying any attention. Then another option, or you could use this and then even a couple days, like, hey, we're chatting about and they said they wanted to gain strength from the first conversation. Hey, we're chatting about gaining strength a few days back. We know we can help you reach those goals. Where do we go from here? Right. And then just leave it for them to decide, oh, I need to book a call. Oh, I'm so sorry, I've been busy. What's the next step? Hey, first name. I'm sure something made you reach out to insert your gym. That way they're not like, hey, who is this? Are you ready to get started? Right? Just very point blank and to the point. By the third time you reach out, like manually, like I was reaching out to somebody about Lasso the other day. Hey, wanted to push this back up to you. Hey, haven't heard back yet. Right. And it's not just being annoying. It's like people are going to look at that. And here's the thing. I always say this: the people that are annoyed that you're reaching out, we're never going to be a good client. Don't stop doing this because somebody was like, you're texting me too much, right? They didn't value what you do. They want somebody that's never going to bother them. Your gym is there to give them a lot of accountability and a high level accountability. You want the person that appreciates that, because then they're going to value the higher dollar anyways. So if you're having say you're having a show rate problem and getting people into the gym, one way you could improve that is before that meeting that morning, you could reach out and say something like, hey, Blake, looking forward to meeting you tomorrow. Can you let me know if you're going to be able to make it? I need to leave my house by X time to meet you, right? Then they're like, oh, wow. They know that people seem to think that gym owners just live at the gym all day long and they don't have a life, right? This gives them like, oh, this person's taking time out of their day, so they get back to you. It's one way. I used to have a client be like, hey, I got to take my dog to the vet. I want to make sure that you're coming because I'm going to leave right after, or whatever it may. The more personal you make this, right? Like, hey, I have a dentist appointment at X time. I'm leaving right after that to come meet with you. Just want to make sure you're making it, right? So if you make that personal, it's going to improve your show rate. All right, so let's talk about now, like for missed appointments. So let's say somebody didn't make your appointment. So again, let's not beat them down. Let's not say like negative things, like you didn't come to your appointment, like you wasted my 45 minutes of my life, right? Hey, Jan, it's Amy from You Booked a Free Call with me today, and I know life can get busy. Are you interested in reaching your goals still? If so, when would be a good day and time to talk? Would be a better day and time to talk, right? I'm changing some of these because you write them and then you say it out loud and it sounds different. So let's say somebody no shows to in person. I had you booked for a 30-minute appointment today and came to the gym to meet with you. Hope everything's okay, right? When would be a better day and time to discuss your goals, right? So that way it comes off, hey, hope everything's okay. Like you missed it, right? You confirmed you didn't show up. Hope it's okay, even though we all know that probably they just didn't show up, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe something came up. Let's think the best. And from there, leave it open-ended there for them to get back to you. I always have like, this is a thing by me too. I have like a 2 strike in your rule out kind of rule. If somebody stands me up twice, I just take them off my list. It's not, or it's not worth my time. Like, and if they do reach out, like, I'm so sorry, I will tell them like pretty bluntly, like, hey, look, are you sure, like, you haven't made 2 appointments? Are you sure that you have time for this? Right? Because I'm taking time out of my day to meet with you. I want to make sure that you're invested in this, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that if somebody doesn't show up twice and they try to like book again. You don't want people that are just going to waste your time, because here's the other thing too. In like bookings, if people are like, I can't come for like another 10 days, one thing that you can also say a lot of times is like, okay, is your schedule going to allow right now for you to make it to the gym? That way, because if they can't come for 10 days, like, how are they going to come 3 times a week, right? Like, make sure you're investing your time into people that already are going to make time and value this. This is probably one of the key ones. And by any stretch of the imagination, once somebody leaves your gym, it's 80% likely that they are not going to sign up, right? Like, let's just be honest, that probably not, they're not going to sign up. But here's a way I think that is just reaching out and try and just put it in front of them and then hope for the best. Hey Chad, it was great meeting you yesterday. I know we would be an excellent fit for your you would be an excellent fit for our program. We went over a plan to help you take action and get back into shape. So insert their why. Oh, this changed it. Hold on. Jeez, somebody edited this. Insert their why. Sorry about that. So, hey, Chad, it was great meeting you yesterday. I know we would be an excellent fit for our program. We went over a plan to help you reach your trying to keep up with your kids on the playground and feel your absolute best that you've been trying to reach for over 5 years. The last step is you getting started. Are you ready? Right? The last step is getting started. Are you ready to get started? Whatever it may be. And so these are just really easy things that you can copy and paste to get people when you're in these situations. So I hope this is like helpful things that you're like can put into that snippets, as Sarah said, that it's literally just click the button and, you know, insert, maybe just change the times, but it's all pre-written out for you to save you a lot of time. Because we know that a lot of these are just the same things. You're dealing with a lot of the same questions over and over. I'll turn it over to you guys. Do you guys have any like specific conversations or anything or any questions that come up outside of this that you would like help with? And then I'll go into kind of images and pictures.
Yeah, I like, the fact that you're looking at these people and realizing that if they're not willing to come in a reasonable period of time, like a day or two, because they don't have time, it's in their work schedule, that you probably shouldn't invest so much into them, because you're right, they're not going to get into the gym. And they're not going to even come close to reaching their goals. So
Yeah.
I've had that problem. We are in a community where there's a lot of shift workers, work 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and You know, maybe they have 2 days of that and then they're off for 3 days. And it's sometimes difficult to deal with people's work schedules like that.
Mhm.
And they
Yeah.
really you have to kind of coach them to think about their work schedule and, you know, think about whether they can really commit to that. You know, a lot of them think they can, but when it comes right down to it, nuts and bolts, turns out they can't.
Yeah.
And I've run into that a few times here with people that, you know, I get them through foundations classes, but then, you know, it's hard getting them to show up because work gets in the way. Uh,
Mm. I would
so,
say try to get ahead of that, and then in either the consult or before they come in, or the consult, if they're willing to come in, great, like they're showing interest.
mhm,
But during that consult, say, hey, what time are you looking to work out? Because, and I would do that during my consults, because if they're like 2 p.m., which I don't have a class time, then I know this is not going to work, right? Like, okay, we need you to go total personal training, or can you come? Okay, I don't have a 2 p.m. class, Sarah. I do have a 5 a.m. What's your work schedule right now? And you'll say X to X, right? Or it varies, right? Okay, let's go through it. Let's go through a normal week for you, right? And then that way get ahead of the problem. Be like, okay, we have this time, and this time align with it. Can we commit to those 3 days a week, right? Or if before they come in and like that person, I can't come in until next Tuesday, I have that day off. You're like, okay, what time are you normally planning to work out during the week? And
mhm,
that way, you know, like based on the conversation, like this is, I'm not even going to waste my 30 minutes or their 30 minutes coming in, because I can't even fulfill that time right now. Right.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that a lot too. Especially, it always worries me, like when I would book people for like a consult and it would be like 2 p.m. And they're like, this is the perfect time for me. And I'm like, oh, this is not like, but that way just going, hey, here's my class schedule. And I would sit down with them. And I think this is going back to like what we probably talked about a couple weeks ago of like that 36 classes. You could be like, hey, all right, these are the classes Monday, X, and X that would get your 3 days a week. Can we, like, even a verbal commitment? Like, can we verbally commit to these class times? And then that way that's going to get you your 36, right? So we're all on the same page of like, these are the class times that work for you. So that way, if you don't show up, I know to reach out.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course. All right. So I want to go over, um, man, I don't want to use just a random gym. Um, I'll just type in like CrossFit here and see CrossFit gym. Okay. Okay. I don't work with this gym, so this will be okay to use. Okay. So let's kind of just go through images here. Right. So like if you guys want to take photos of people, always try to do it like faces are always important, right? Like that's probably one of the most crucial things I would say is having like this is actually a really good one right here. Like even here's the thing I always think about, like scrolling through something, what's gonna stop me from scrolling? This is a really good photo, right? I might be interested why this dude's running on the beach. This is a pretty good photo. Things like that. So I want to show you because a lot of gyms are like, hey, I want to use some of my imagery, right? And I mean, I'll use a gym here. So a lady was like, hey, I want to use my pictures. I have a professional photo that comes in. But the issue was just because it's professional photos doesn't always mean that it's going to correlate to high results. So these are good photos, right? Like I would say these are highly qualified photos. But what my comment and my feedback was nobody looks like they're nobody looks like they're happy, right? Like it looks like I'm just going. I mean, other than this coach smiling, he's like I'm torturing this person. But like you want people smiling, people want to go to your page and remember just because it's not intimidating for you because you understand what it is and you've been it. If you walked into, took a second and take yourself out of it, if I even was thinking about going to a new gym, even myself, like there's like, we work with like metabolic gyms and there's like a metabolic coming here to Indianapolis. It's intimidating for me to walk in there for the first. I don't know anyone, right? Like it's just, and I've done fitness my whole life since I was 15 years old. Now, if I knew, okay, this was the gym I'm going into, how do you think, just even my feeling that I get looking at those two pages are totally different. Like I feel like just right now looking at this, I feel a lot more comfortable. I feel a lot more at ease. Where the other page, I felt very like, oh, this is like intense. This looks really like the intensity is just as hard here, but the welcomingness of it does really, really well. So photos like this that are just, she's still getting a great workout. Here's the best way I've ever found when I take a photo of somebody, literally just saying smile. That's it. This is a phenomenal photo, right? So just photos of people having a good time. You want to be the gym that people have fun and get results, that they're engulfed in the community, right? And you can see all of these photos, like you're like, man, these people look really, really nice. I want to join that gym, right? Looks like a fun place to be. Like everybody's having a good time. It doesn't, yes, highlight your members. You always want to be their biggest fan. And I would say, like, I'm not looking at links or anything on this. I'm just looking at, like, what is the feeling that I get when I go to someone's page? That is kind of like your brand identity. Like for them, it's we want to be the welcoming, fun place that get results. Here's another gym that does very high-end photos and videos that does a really good job. Um, So like even you can see here, like everybody's still smiling in a lot of these photos. Now, granted, they have like kid performance, so it's just kind of a different thing. But group photos do so well because it's going to show diversity. Granted, these are all guys, so I don't know if this was just a men's appreciation night. That makes sense. So making sure that people look like they're having a good time. Photos like this showing all like I would even say even more a little bit ages. Maybe this was um but yeah, shapes, sizes. That way it conveys in an image who you're for, right? You don't have to be the fittest person on earth to come here. You can be all shapes and sizes. That tells a story without even telling a story, right? So they do a great job at something like this. Like, and they do like even this post, right? Like telling her story of cancer treatment. Like those are the stuff, and you can see here just all the comments, right? That post is going to get a lot of engagement, 120 likes, and I'm sure the reach of it was really large. So if you the only way to get these posts to get a far reach and reach, I mean, outside of the people that follow you, is simply tell a great story. And Jeff is really good. He started off with a quote, right? And then kind of the story of her, how hard it was, and then probably, and then I would say I'd even add, oh, here it is, having amazing support from group that makes days a little easier, right? And even maybe another quote of like, this has just, it's been an outlet for me. Like if I was telling her story, if this is true, I wouldn't make it up, right? But like, this has just been an outlet for me to get away from the hardships of life, right? And telling that story that like, so if you're looking for something that you need to escape from and be around the people that are going to support and love on you, we're the place for you, right? So telling stories of clients are always going to go far. It doesn't always have to be like massive PRs or anything like that. But yeah, they just do a great job with videos, video content, all that stuff. But it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just normal looking people doing normal things. Okay. I would just say for you guys, that's probably if you look through all these again, and I'll go back to the one before, all these face forward, most of them 90%, right? They all look pretty happy. And this is a little more, I wouldn't say competitive, but if I go back to before, this is much different, right? Much different feeling that you get. So when you guys are taking photos or have a photographer come in, these are two really Oxfit and Friendship Fitness that do a very good job of organic posting. Do you guys have any questions on any of that? So really, I just wanted to give you guys that lead nurture stuff. Wanted to make sure that you guys had all that. And then I just kind of want to open it up for the last 20, 30 minutes of any questions that you guys may have. Any struggles, wins?
Hey Blake, I have one silly question. Where do you guys get your pictures from for that stuff? Is it open content that's out there or?
For Lasso, like our pictures?
Yeah, because it's just a funny story. One of our athletes, one of the pictures that went out on one of our Facebook posts through you guys actually had her mom in the picture
It's really
because her
strange.
mom's an
Yeah.
athlete at another gym.
Yeah, so it's whatever gyms we work with. If we find like images that do really, really well, we usually reach out to the gym owner, or we also have in just the agreement that we wouldn't like if for your gym, well, we never sign up a competitive gym or a competitor gym, but that we have access to use the collateral with other people.
Okay, it was just interesting. We were like, oh wait, that's Brittany's mom.
Yeah, I mean, if they're like super offended by it, we can obviously take it
No,
down.
no, no, she wasn't. It was just funny.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like what we do, I mean, for when it comes to images, right? And this is like behind the scenes a little bit. So like when you guys have, you think of ads, right? Like you have copy, you have headline, you have images, and like just take those three fundamental things. When you change, you only want to change ever one thing, because if you change two things, then you don't know what's going to work and what's not going to work, right? So what we do is we test a lot of different, like we'll say, first we'll take all the copy that, like if we're like, hey, we're going to test new imagery, we'll take the best copy we know that works, right? Like this is proven to work. Then we'll put like 10 different photos and then see what photo like gets the best results from that, and that's our new winner. And then if it's like new copy, then it's like, okay, we need to take the best photo that's proven of all time with new copy, and then that way we only have a one element difference to figure out which one works. But when like we had a gym, it's like I want to change two things, now I don't know what works, right? Like so we only have, so like, and here's the crazy thing. Sometimes it's literally only one word, like changing like in a headline. Say like it's like I might add, instead of 12-week strength program, 12-week New Year strength program, and change the whole thing, right? Just by that headline. So if you guys, I know a lot of gyms are like, hey, I really like to use my photo. And it's, I always feel bad, but I like go to look at the photos because I'm just doing this for so long. And I'm like, these photos just aren't going to work. Like action photos, unfortunately, really don't work unless they're happy, right? So like the best photos that work are group photos and then action photos with people smiling. Now, when you're doing photos of men and guys, they can be as ripped and jacked as possible, right? Because that's guys don't care, they're not intimidated. Like, and the reason I say that is like if you go walk down and like when magazines were super popular, right? Like Men's Fitness, it was Mark Wahlberg on the cover, Ryan Reynolds, how to get 8-pack abs, like because that's what sold and it still sells. When it comes to women, though, you want to be a little more softer. You want to get them in the door. And so what you can do is group photos showing all shapes and sizes and ages would even be even better, or just average looking healthy people, right? Like if they're super ripped, that's intimidating. But if you're like, hey, they just look like they're healthy, they look healthy. Or here's the thing, I'll go back to that one. Let me try to find this image of this girl here. One of the best photos, if you're like, you know what, I'm really for like the beginner. I want to get more people that like just have never tried fitness and want to get in fitness. I'll try to find this photo. It might take me a second here. Where's she at? The what go? I'll share this. So this is a photo that did really well for them. And it is it is going to appeal with somebody. It's like, now if you're a gym, it's like, hey, I want to be for like the CrossFitter, like wants to throw up when they get done. This wouldn't be a great photo. But if you're like, hey, I love like really helping new people get into shape and get into it, this is a really great photo to do so. So knowing who the type of person you want in the door is really, really important. So like on the flip side of it, you know, we work with a gym that's like, hey, I want the person that like wants to go hard and like really get after it. Um, pull up their page. So everything is like, this is like the hard gym, right? Like, and that's fine if that's who you're going, but he knows who he's going for, right? And so everything's going to be heavy lifting. It looks like it hurts. He still provide for the newbie 100%, but that's not his client avatar, right? So what I would say is like, go back through and figure out who are my like the main audience that is signing up at my gym that I really like, and then go into your own Instagram and your website and then simply be like, do I appeal to that audience? If I went to him and I was like, oh, Shen, like, who's your audience? If he said 50 and 60-year-old women, and I went to his page, I'm like, they're never going to sign up here, right? Like this, they're going to be like, I think this is only for 20 to 30-year-olds, right? So like, make sure your imagery matches with the people that you want in your gym. Not even want, the people that are coming to your gym. Because here's the truth. I hate to say this, but like even who you want in your gym might not be who actually is coming in the gym. Like you might have to pivot a little bit and be like, okay, I'm getting all women between this age group. Didn't think that that's who was my target demographic. Maybe I need to change a little bit and make sure all my copy and all my stuff is gearing towards them a little more because I'm having a lot of success with them, right? Or like, let's say that you're like, we have an all women's gym and, you know, she could have, let's say, you know, I think all women's gyms crush it, but let's say for some reason she realizes it's all and she does this like postpartum, then she needs to go in the direction of postpartum. Like everybody keeps coming to her after, you know, they have babies and stuff. So she does postpartum program now, or pre, and then she just really develops that all across the board. But nobody, if they came to postpartum, nobody would know that if she didn't talk about it. So make sure that like everything aligns from your website and your social media.
Hey, Blake. Um,
Ma'am.
I have a question, about the ads because, you know, look at the ads that come up and, your photos, I think, are great. They're way better than mine. But I find that I'm sort of fielding questions from people about, because, you know, some of the ads list like a ladies' strength camp. And
Yep.
people sort of get the idea that, okay, this is going to be a set thing. You're coming at 9 o'clock every day for 12 weeks and you're going to work
Yep.
out with this group of ladies. And it turns out that's not quite the case.
Yep.
So, and I'm not questioning, okay, because
No.
you're very
Yep.
successful. So, but I'm just curious about that. I do find myself sometimes explaining that it's not like what they envision, you know?
Yep.
And
So yeah,
also
and
things like only 10 new spots available.
yep.
Well, and that's kind of not the same either. They don't really question that, but I'm just I cringe a little bit when I see stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's more just navigating the conversation, right? So I think, and I just got off of like, if I put, hey, we're advertising a new dog toy to German Shepherds, but I put a picture of my Samoyed dog, it wouldn't align, right? Like that's a Samoyed and that's a German Shepherd. We're not going to put like a woman and then put like, hey, men, right? Like it's just a call to action. And I get it. Like, and I think some people, and what I like to say is some people just make assumptions of what they would want, right? And what I like, hey, I saw this one ladies only. I'm like, okay, it doesn't say ladies only, but if you'd like to just show me, but this is a mixed group. And then if they say like, oh, I saw you only wanted 10 people, I'm like, hey, yeah, we can only onboard like 10 to 15 people per month at our facility to provide the best service.
Yeah,
Right. And that's how I would convey the conversation. Now, when they come in, right? Okay, tell me about this 12-week, because I had this conversation twice today. The easiest way to pose it, we have come up with the best way for somebody to get started in 3 months, right? That is our 12-week strength program. It's a way to get you started from beginner, get you into classes, and create an accountability program to make sure that we create a lifestyle change in you. We know it takes about 100 days for you to create a lifestyle habit. That's why we ask for 12 weeks. Now, it's not some special program, but you do need to commit to 36 times a minimum for the 3 months, right? This is a high accountability program with a ton of value, right? And then from there, then it's just really like, then it's usually just rethinking or like just getting them thinking a different way. But yeah, I understand like when you put like, hey, ladies or like whatever, it's just an attention grabber. Now like you can just delete that off and like it's still the same thing, but a lot of people see like, oh, this 12-week strength program. You're like, no, it's, and I always say this is definitely not a hard stop. This is a lifestyle. Like if you're only looking for 3 months, this is not for you. I'm looking for people for 12 months, right? Does that help at all?
yeah, it does. And like I said, I'm not criticizing and it's not a big deal. But just sometimes when I hear people say, you know, that they've read it wrong, they've kind of got their perception of what it's like. And then I kind of have to explain a little bit more. But I like the way that you just sort of explained that. So I'm going to try to incorporate that a little bit better into how I tell them.
Yeah, and you get such cheap, I don't say cheap leads, but like you get a lot of leads. So like you have to deal with a more, I don't want to say exhausting conversations, right? Like repeating yourself. And that gets exhausting. Like, don't get me wrong. Like there was days when I owned a gym, I was like, I'm like 5 people just annoyed me, right? Like I'm so annoyed. And then the next person signs up for personal training for X amount. So I think, just if I were you, I would just come up with this template and answers so it doesn't take time suck you, right? Like, hey, this is a mixed program for men and women. It is our best way to get started and create a lifestyle change for you within 12 weeks with high accountability, great proven workouts. Would it be a great time to chat? And that way it's just bam, every single time.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question because I get it. It is draining. Like, don't get me wrong. I know it's draining. And like, that's what, like one of the questions we ask people now when they sign up is like, hey, are you okay with having 40 conversations that lead to nothing a month? Right? Because it's exhausting. Like if you're not growth mindset and like really driven, like it can be really like, I didn't sign up for like dealing with this. Right. But like at the end of the day, if you get an extra 5 to 10 a month, it has a huge impact long term. Cool, guys. Any other questions that anybody has? All right, yes. Well, ladies, because it's you guys on here. If you guys have anything else, reach out. I will put the lead nurture in the Slack channel as well. If any conversations come up this week, post them in there. Be interested to just get everybody's feedback and things that have worked well. And I can chime in on like what to say. This is one thing that did come up with a new gym owner. Somebody was like, hey, I'd really love to join your gym, but I really want to try it out first, right? Now, the question being is that, do you have any apprehension of them? Have they done CrossFit before or have a fitness background? That's probably fine. What I did at my gym, hey, no problem. A drop-in is $20. If you decide to sign up after class, then we'll just credit that to your membership. The reason I did charge them for a drop-in is because I already have their credit card. So the sign up is actually easier. Right. So that's one way just to go. Now, if they are just like super novice, you could just be like, I don't feel comfortable putting you in class yet, but I would love to meet with again or answer any other questions beforehand. When would work for you? But at the end of the day, don't want to put somebody in just like going to get hurt.
Yeah, I had that happen today. I had a longtime member actually decide to bring a friend with her. She told me she was going to, and I'm like, because I don't usually allow free trials anymore. I used to, and I found that, like probably everybody else, that you don't know what the workouts that day is going to be. Or you know, you might, but they may end up deciding to show up on a day that is not for newbies. You don't know what their health is like. You don't know what they're trying to achieve, whether they have any injury or limitations. So I've kind of gotten away from that, but this was a longtime member who wanted to bring her friend. And it worked out. You know, I spent about 10 minutes before the class just sort of demonstrating the movements for her. Unfortunately, she was young and very mobile and did okay. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
normally,
I would say in that instance, just say, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about her background a little bit? And she'd be like, oh, she's brand new. You're like, okay, we probably need to get in her intro. But like, you're just like, oh, she was a former gymnast. Oh, bring her in. Like, right. So. Awesome. All right, ladies. Well, go crush the week. And if you guys need anything, feel free to reach out. Talk soon.